There is such an incredibly large difference with seeking to be understood versus understanding. Being in that present moment of understanding. It's a big shift there, right? When you start thinking about validating yourself and validating your life, when you're working hard to be understood. I need to be understood. I need to be understood. What does that mean? And it means, you're not hearing me. You're not listening to who I am. You're not validating who I am as a human. And we push hard when we're trying hard to be understood. We can spend our whole lives seeking to be understood. And maybe it's from a childhood thing, everyone just kept our feelings pushed down, and we were never validated. And hence we choose these jobs and these relationships and these friends and these fights and these suffering states to be validated, to be understood. And when we do that, when we spend our valuable life and our valuable time seeking to be understood, we give our power away to someone else. We give our power away to others because our value is in their hands. Our value is by how much they validate us. And that's how we end up feeling good. We go, yes, someone heard me. I got validated. I was understood. Yes, there's a win for the day. But it's superficial. Because that validation doesn't mean that you have become anything. It doesn't mean that you have arrived at any particular, state, level of your life. You have simply been validated by somebody. You've got a like for the team. You got a comment. You got something positive in your life. You got something that makes you feel whole. And it's so temporary because it's an external validation. You were heard by somebody else. You were finally heard by somebody else. You were understood. We end up attracting bad relationships that way too, and I'm talking about romantic relationships that way too. And that can happen because this person finally understood us. But what if we did a shift? And the shift I'm suggesting, first off, allows you to honor yourself. It allows you to give something back to someone else, to the world, to the planet. And that's how we fuel our joy and our love, by being of service. So if we shifted the incessant need to be understood, I need to be understood, I need to be heard. What? You don't understand what I'm saying? Yes, this is the truth. You need to hear me. You need to validate me. Shift it off and seek to understand. When you seek to understand, so if you're in a conflict, let's just say, and you're desperately trying to be understood, you want that person to understand you. What if you held space for them and became quiet and just said, okay, let me hear you talk. Let me hear your view on this. And truly stay centered in understanding them. Seek to understand. Seek to understand their heart. Seek to understand their pain. Seek to understand their suffering. And when you sit with that, a true connection happens at that point. A true connection of love happens at that point. a situation becomes diffused at that point too. Instead of you hitting the situation and saying, I need to be understood at all costs. This is how it is at all costs. Pull it back and ask yourself, how can you be of service to understand this situation? Understand this other human. Understand their point of view. Just seek to understand. It doesn't mean you have to agree with it. Not at all. It just means that you are sitting there to understand. You are giving someone your time, your presence, your heart. That's a beautiful way to feel. One of the most painful things that we can do in our life is believing everything that is in our mind. It's one of the most painful things we can do in our life, is to spend our whole life believing what our mind is telling us. We give our power away by not going into this inquiry, this questioning, this is this true? Is this story really true? Did my childhood really unfold like that? Did I really witness my mother and father that way? Or was I just a 4-year-old not knowing really what I was seeing when they were fighting? You know, they were fighting, but was that really going down that way? Or was that something that was for them to handle and for me to just push through? And what do you do those when you're 4 years old, right? What do you possibly know at 4 years of age? What do you know then? But at this age now, I'm just going to say shame on us to keep on thinking that we have to believe that way. So let's put aside that shame. I don't mean to shame any of you. I'm just saying that we need to go and give our heads a shake and say, like, but why do I want to continue on with that thought? That dysfunctional relationship that I thought they had. But maybe in that moment in time, they were simply trying the best that they could with what they were given. And no judgment. So I'm not going to hammer into my life and other people around me in my life and bleed all over them with my need, my incessant need for validation to be understood. Instead, I get to shift out and I get to start thinking about how I can seek to understand. At all costs, what can I do right now to just seek to understand life, understand how life is unraveling, understand how I can shift my thinking. Like, imagine battling our minds and our truths for our whole life. Imagine that. Like, what a loss is that for us to battle it for our whole lives and for us to spend every waking moment shoving our truths down other people's throats and into their lives, instead of opening ourselves up wide to the beautifulness to seek to understand, to understand that what we have lived is past. It's an illusion. It doesn't serve us any longer. The stories don't serve us any longer. In actuality, our past doesn't even exist any longer. It's gone. We don't need to be understood. We just have to be there for ourselves. We have to honor ourselves. We have to know that our value is there. We don't need to get it from anybody else. We don't need to receive anything from anybody else. Know this, that you are a lovable, beautiful, incredible creature. And I'm sure that there was a point in your life and times in your life that you've been let down and that you've been betrayed and that you've been hurt. We all have. We've all been betrayed. We've all been hurt. We've all been let down. But imagine for a second that you actually believed that you're lovable, that you actually put the faith and trust into being lovable, to know that you're lovable. You have an amazing heart. We all do. We all have this right, this inherent right to be alive and thrive, not just survive, thrive. We all have a right to be that. Know that your past has not broken you. Know that your past has made you wise. It's the wisdom that we have gotten from all of our situations, and we get to drop that emotion from anything that's happened to us and take the lesson, take the wisdom from it. And trust. I can't emphatically suggest this enough, is that the need for us to trust and have faith that everything is unfolding according to a bigger plan, a bigger life plan than we could ever imagine ever happening for us. This is the true magic. This is the true magic. We don't need to live our lives forcing to be understood. If you think about it, it doesn't serve us, right? Why do you want to be understood by somebody? Because you're looking for that other person to heal your wound. And we're the only ones that can heal our wounds. So take that absolute moment of shifting as such a glorious gift to yourself, to shift from seeking to be understood and shift off to understand a situation. Understand whatever it is that you need to understand. That person, that human, that dog, that person yelling, that person crying, that person getting mad at you. That situation that hurt you. That situation that let you down. That person that betrayed you. Seek to understand. Because when we understand, we lead with compassion. We connect. Our hearts connect. We reconnect to our soul. We reconnect to one another. And this is where we are all moving towards.